Not all work in a marriage is visible. We recognize the obvious, the long hours at a job, paying the bills, fixing things around the house. But what about the work that no one talks about? The mental checklist, the planning, the anticipating of everyone's needs before they even say a word. That's invisible labor. And if it's not acknowledged and balanced, it can quietly build resentment, exhaustion, and distance between partners. As a licensed marriage and family therapist, I've seen this dynamic play out in so many different relationships, where one partner feels overwhelmed but doesn't know how to ask for help, and the other doesn't even realize there's a problem. So today, we're going to break it down. What is invisible labor? How does it affect your marriage? And most importantly, what can you do about it? Invisible labor is all the mental, emotional, and organizational work that keeps a household and family running, but often goes unnoticed. It's remembering that your child's soccer uniform needs to be washed before Saturday. It's knowing which groceries are running low before anyone else does. It's scheduling doctor's appointments, meal planning, keeping track of birthdays, soothing emotions, noticing when the dog's food is almost out. It's not just the task itself. It's the responsibility of managing it all in your head. And here's the tricky part. Because invisible labor is mostly mental and emotional, it's easy to overlook. If a task is done before it becomes a crisis, no one notices. And that's why so many couples struggle with this imbalance, because it's hard to appreciate work you never even see. Ways invisible labor can affect your marriage. One partner feels constantly overwhelmed, while the other is unaware there's even a problem. At first, it feels like part of life. Picture this. One person is carrying a full backpack loaded down with all the small but constant details of life. Appointments, schedules, or errands, household needs. The other, they're walking beside them, carrying nothing. Not because they don't care, but because they don't even realize there's a backpack to carry. And the hardest part, the partner carrying the weight might not say anything until one day they snap. And suddenly the other partner is blindsided, wondering, where is all this coming from? It creates resentment and emotional distance. The thing about invisible labor is that it's deeply personal. It's about care, about making life easier for your family. So when it goes unnoticed, it can feel like you're being taken for granted. It starts small, feeling frustrated that you're the only one keeping track of what needs to be done. But then it grows. Why do I have to be the one to remember everything? Why am I the only one holding this all together? Over time, resentment creeps in. And when resentment enters a marriage, connection starts to fade. Little things that used to bring joy now feel like burdens. And eventually, it stops being about the chores and becomes about the deeper message. Do you see me? Do you appreciate me? The default partner becomes the manager, not an equal. In many marriages, one person unintentionally becomes the household manager. Not just doing tasks, but assigning them, making lists, delegating, reminding, even if tasks are being physically shared. It's exhausting. And over time, that dynamic starts to feel more like a boss-employee relationship than a partnership. Maybe you've heard this before. You should have just told me what you needed to be done. But here's the problem. If one person always has to do the thinking, planning, and assigning, the mental load still rests on their shoulders, even if tasks are being physically shared. It can lead to burnout, especially for women. Studies show that women, even in dual income households, still do the majority of invisible labor. And it's not just about chores. It's about the mental energy of holding everything together. This kind of constant low-grade stress can lead to burnout, where exhaustion becomes the norm and there's no room left for joy, rest, or even intimacy. I've worked with so many couples where one partner has reached a breaking point, tired, emotionally drained, feeling like they have nothing left to give. Not because they don't love their spouse, but because they're running on empty. And when burnout sets in, everything suffers. Patience, connection, even the ability to enjoy the relationship. It makes appreciation and connection feel one-sided. When one person does most of the unseen work, they often feel deeply unappreciated. Not because their spouse doesn't love them, but because no one thanks you for things they don't even know are happening. Imagine working a full-time job where your effort is never acknowledged. No paycheck, no recognition, just the expectation that you'll keep doing it because you always have. That's what invisible labor can feel like in a marriage. And when one person feels unseen in their efforts, it can be incredibly lonely, even inside a committed relationship. This isn't about keeping score. It's about awareness and partnership. Start with a conversation, not a fight, not a blame game, just a real conversation about the mental load. Asking your spouse, what do you think goes into keeping our home running? Then share your experience. The goal isn't to criticize, it's to bring awareness to what's been unseen. Shift from helping to sharing the load. One of the biggest mistakes couples make is treating household responsibilities as one person's job, while the other just helps out. True partnership means both people take ownership, not just waiting to be asked. Make the invisible visible. Sit down, list out all the tasks, both seen and unseen. Who handles what? What could be rebalanced? When it's written out, it's easier to see just how much mental load is happening behind the scenes. Acknowledge and appreciate the work that often goes unnoticed. Gratitude doesn't erase an imbalance, but it does create connection. A simple, I see how much you do and I appreciate it, can go a long way in keeping resentment from building. Check in regularly. Marriage isn't a set it and forget it situation. Our needs, responsibilities, and capacities shift over time, creating an ongoing conversation about how you're both feeling, not just about work, but about the relationship itself. It keeps things from silently building to a breaking point. If anything I share today resonates with you, if you've ever felt like you're carrying more than your share but don't know how to talk about it, you're not alone. Invisible labor, it thrives in silence. But the moment we start naming it, we can start changing it. If this helped you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And if you want more insights on navigating marriage with wisdom and strength, subscribe for more. I'm Jaylee Cunningham, and I'll see you on the next one. Welcome to Awakening.